Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire seem to have everything going their way. They are one of the more favorite remakes, and they contain a great post-game that could possibly rival the likes of Pokemon Black 2 and White 2's and Heart Gold and Soul Silver's post-game. So, just like I've done in 7 other videos here on the channel, I'll be playing through the post-game of these Gen 3 remakes in order to see what it has to offer and how it stacks up against the other post-games. By the way, I'll be using the same game file that I used in my Using Illegal Pokemon to Become the Champion video, so be sure to check that one out once you're done here. Anyways, without further ado, it's time to actually play through the post-game of Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. After defeating Steven and being entered into the Hall of Fame, you meet back up with Mayor Brendan on Route 103 in order to have one last rival battle. Their team remains the same from the last fight you had with them, aside from them adding a Raichu. You and May then look up to see some shooting stars, before listening in on a conversation between your mom and Norman. Apparently, Norman has tickets to see the upcoming meteor shower at Mossdeep City, but since he has to be at the Petalburg gym that day, they wonder who to give their tickets to. Once the conversation concludes, the Delta episode begins. Upon booting up the game again, scientists are freaking out inside of the Mossdeep Space Center as a meteoroid has suddenly changed paths and is heading directly towards the Hoenn region. The meteoroid is projected to land on a small island southwest of Sootopolis City, just off of Route 131. Coincidentally, the next cutscene takes place in that same area, on top of the Sky Pillar, as a Team Magma or Aqua Grunt takes off their uniform and foreshadows her plan to steal various keystones. Back inside your house, Norman hands you the tickets for the meteor shower and suggests that you should take your rival with you. Waiting outside your front door is the girl that was just on top of the Sky Pillar. She introduces herself as Zinnia, and she is followed around by her Whismur, who is named Aster. Once she leaves, you find out that Zinnia just crawled through your rival's bedroom window and stole their keystone. Kind of creepy if you ask me. Anyways, if you enter and exit your house again, you'll hear Professor Birch screaming for help on Route 101. He's somehow being chased by a Shroomish, which can't even be found on this route, but by opening his bag, you get to choose one of the Johto starters. Now, because I messed with the randomization settings at the start of the game, I guess that also screwed up these starters, so instead, I chose between a Charmander, Oddish, and a Seedot. Over in Petalburg City, either Admin Courtney or Matt will be attempting to steal Wally's keystone. Just then, you step in the way in order to defeat the admin in a battle. After the fight, Wally reveals that his keystone has already been stolen. Just then, Steven calls you using a secret feature on the Pokénav Plus. He claims that he needs to urgently speak with you in Rustboro City. It turns out that Mr. Stone is planning on combining infinite energy, which he learned about from the Great War that took place 3,000 years ago, with one of the Devon Corporation's rockets in order to destroy the meteoroid. However, Mr. Stone assigns you to collect a meteorite shard from Granite Cave so that he can carry out this plan. Upon arriving in the same room where you first met Steven, Zinnia informs you that the large paintings in here were all created by her ancestors. She then challenges you to a battle, and after knocking out her 3 dragons, she gives you a meteorite shard. After she leaves, Steven once again calls you and tells you to get over to the Mossdeep Space Center as quickly as possible. Here, Professor Cosmo explains his plan to destroy the meteor, but Zinnia suddenly steps in and claims that he will only repeat mistakes that have been made in the past. Despite that, Professor Cosmo continues on with his explanation as Zinnia leaves, and he directs you and Steven to Meteor Falls to retrieve a purer meteorite shard. By entering one of the deepest rooms in Meteor Falls, you'll see Steven talking to an elderly woman who is a descendant of the ancient Draconids. She talks about the Lore Keeper, whose job is to offer up a wish to Rayquaza whenever the world is in danger. She then reveals that Zinnia is this generation's Lore Keeper, proving that Zinnia does want to stop the meteor, but that she is doing so in a different way. Steven is conflicted by all this information, so he makes his way back to the Devon Corporation. As you try to enter, a scientist comes running out, and he is being chased by 3 Team Magma or Aqua grunts. You must defeat them consecutively, only to learn that they have stolen the control device for the link cable and that they are on their way to the Moss Deep Space Center. After winning a horde battle, you can make your way to the 2nd floor of the Space Center, where you participate in a double battle with Steven against one of the admins and a fellow grunt. All of a sudden, Aster appears and snatches away the control device before Zinnia states that using it could harm a parallel world. This is where you learn that there is another universe where Mega Evolution was never discovered. After the history lesson, Zinnia crushes the device before stealing the admin's keystone and claiming that she only needs one more from the Team Magma or Aqua hideout. By defeating a gauntlet of grunts in the hideout, you'll reach the boss's room, where Zinnia has already beaten either Maxie or Archie and taken their keystone. She now has everything she needs to summon Rayquaza, so she makes her way to Sky Pillar. You'll then receive either the Camerupt or Sharpedenite, since it is useless to Maxie or Archie. Steven then calls you once again, as he wants to meet you back at the Space Center. He informs you that only a Lore Keeper can remove the seal on the entrance to the Sky Pillar, but luckily Wallace is a Lore Keeper, so you must track him down in Sootopolis City. After doing so, he'll challenge you to a battle on Route 131 to test your skills. He basically just uses his champion team from Pokemon Emerald, so if you have an electric or grass type, then you'll have no issues. On the way up the rundown tower, Zinnia will explain the history of the Draconids. I don't know, something about primal energy and mega evolutions, blah blah blah, let's get to the fun stuff. At the top, Zinnia literally knocks you out, but you wake up to her summoning Rayquaza. However, Rayquaza doesn't have enough power in its meteorites, so it's unable to Mega Evolve. Just then, your meteorite begins to glow in your bag, so Rayquaza challenges you to a battle. After catching it, Zinnia teaches Rayquaza Dragon Ascent before taking you on in one last fight. She now owns a Goodra and Noivern, along with her Tyrantrum, Altaria, and Salamence from before. But if you just spam Dragon Pulse with Rayquaza, then you'll be fine. Upon her defeat, you put on either the Magma or Aqua suit and head to space on the back of Rayquaza in order to destroy the Meteoroid. It turns out though that there was a living being in the Meteoroid which caused it to change paths. This ends up being Deoxys, who you can either catch or defeat. Once you return to Sky Pillar, Aster hands you a goodbye letter from Zinnia, and then various cutscenes play, which tie up all of the loose ends and mark the end to the Delta episode. Back home in Little Root Town, your dad gives you the SS ticket, so you can now ride the SS Tidal between Slateport City, Lilycove City, and the Battle Resort. Additionally, your mom will hand you the Latiasite in Omega Ruby or the Latiosite in Alpha Sapphire. Once you leave your house, Professor Birch will once again be in trouble on Route 101. This time, a Machoke is chasing him for whatever reason. As a matter of fact, it's one of the moving Machokes because it has a box in its hands. Bro, I could have some valuable stuff in there. Why do you still have it? Anyways, you'll be able to select one of the Unova starters this time around, but yet again, my starters were all messed up. From there, you can board the SS Tidal, where you'll see a nice little reunion. Apparently, Mr. Briny and Drake have known each other for a long time and are very good friends. Mr. Briny is also now the captain of the SS Tidal, which is cool to see, as he's come a long way since his small boat on Route 104. Other than that, there's just some trainers for you to battle before arriving at the Battle Resort. The Battle Resort is filled with various different content and events. First up, you'll see Wally once again, who awkwardly barges his way through either Archie or Maxie. He apologizes, and then you'll receive either the Cameruptite or Sharpedenite, whichever one you didn't get before. A random collector will then notice you and Wally, and hand you the Versus Recorder. Inside of the Pokemon Center, you can have your Pokemon's potential judged by this Ace Trainer, similar to that guy in Killude City from Pokemon X and Y. You can then speak with this triathlete by the ocean, and if you also talked to the Hex Maniac back near Route 111, then you can now obtain both the Acro and Machabike at once. Moving on, the famous detective, Looker, will be washed up further down the beach. After trying to figure out what happened to him, a lady will step in and take him back to her house. On the other side of the beach, there are various move tutors, a custodian who just has random items lying around in his house, and a couple of resort masters. Each of these trainers specialize in a certain typing, and it is up to you if you want to take them on in a battle. On the second level of the battle resort, there's the Battle Mason, a lady who will give you a random berry each day, and a looker who will give you the Audinite. There's also a house where it seems that a Team Magma and Aqua Grunt are looking to get together. When you first step inside, they are a bit embarrassed, but then other grunts come in and reassure them that Team Magma and Aqua aren't rivals anymore, and that they have nothing to be ashamed of. The top level of the Battle Resort features arguably one of Game Freak's biggest missed opportunities, as the Battle Frontier is under construction and will never be completed. So instead, the only thing to do up here is watch these Whismur perform a dance and guess which one has the big mushroom. If you guess correctly, then you get to keep the big mushroom. Anyways, time for some rematches. First, you can now head back to Fortree City and take on Arun once again, whose Flygon is now level 53. Then you can rematch the Elite Four and Champion. I see a lot of people ask why I don't do this in every post-game video, but I'm doing it in this one, so hopefully that makes you guys happy. However, because I now owned a level 70 Rayquaza and a level 80 Deoxys, it wasn't too difficult. So, for the final time, you wake up in your bedroom again, with only a couple of things left to do. Professor Birch is, of course, being chased in Route 101, but this time around, he's being chased by his own wife. Apparently, he thought she was a Pokemon? I don't really know anymore. But you do get to select one of the Sinnoh starters, which is pretty cool. And the last thing you can do, to my knowledge, is soar around on either Latias or Latios and hunt down the different legendaries in the various Mirage locations. For me, I was able to find Cobalion in the Pathless Plain. Now, I believe that you can only find one of these locations per day, and because I don't want to spend 3 weeks catching every single legendary, I'm gonna go ahead and call it here. But definitely correct me if I'm wrong in the comments section below. And with that, we have done just about all there is to do in the post-game of Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I can definitely see why this post-game is a fan favorite, as it is very action-packed. From the Delta episode to the Battle Resort, there's plenty of things for you to do after becoming the champion. I also enjoyed learning about the lore behind Hoenn and Mega Evolutions. I had a ton of fun making this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it just as much. For now though, have a great rest of your day, and until next time, deuces!